Hey, what's going on, guys? So I just got back from my Sedona, Arizona Bike Fest trip, and before I kind of put my bike back to normal, I thought it would be really cool to show you guys what bike and how I adjusted it to go ride Sedona. So I've never been to Sedona before. All of my friends said, hey, take your 130 millimeter travel bike, which is my YT Izzo. They're like, it'll be plenty for you. So basically what I got from Sedona is, there were certain situations where I could have rode my Jeffsy, which is a 160 millimeter travel. But it was more so because I was hiking up rock faces and doing rock rolls on stuff that weren't directly on the trails. So I think if you go to Arizona and you take a 130 millimeter travel bike, you'll be just fine as long as you're not doing any of the extra stuff where you're hiking up and finding random stuff to roll in or ride down. So basically, I'm gonna take you through my bike and kind of show you how I have it set up and why I set it up this way for Sedona. All right, so this is my YT Izzo. The bike is actually mostly stock. I change up a few things. I've changed up the cockpit. These are the DD Skywire bars. And then I've got some ODI Pro Elite grips on it. The main thing though is I changed the wheel set on it, and I changed the wheel sets on all my bikes, but this is actually the wheel set that belongs on my YT Jeffsy, which is my 160 millimeter travel bike. So this wheel set are profile racing hubs, and then they are laced to atomic carbon, which I believe are called the AM 38.5 rims. And these rims are actually, I think the inner diameter is 32 millimeter. And then the rims are laced with bird spokes. So if you don't know what bird spokes are all about, I'll link this in the description as well, with all the other brands that I'm gonna talk about. So yeah, and again, I've got the DD bars, the live wire bars, and then, or sorry, not live wire, Skywire bars, and then I've got the DD Copperhead stem. So this is the 35 millimeter bore stem, and this is actually a 35 millimeter length as well. So the Izzo is generally like a trail cross bike, so usually it's set up a little bit longer. It comes stock with like a 50 millimeter long stem, but I wanted to make it a little bit more aggressive and kind of set it up more comfortable for me to ride, so I shortened the stem on that. The bars are a 15 millimeter rise, so they have a little bit of rise. They're not completely flat. And then let's see, we've got, the Maxxis tires, obviously. So these Maxxis tires are the 2.5. I'm running the DHF Minion 20-year anniversary tire. So as you can see, it's got that cool Maxxis hit. And then turn you upside down here, you can see it says Minion DHF 20 years of shred. So I put these wheels on my bike for Sedona because I was afraid that there were going to be some sticky situations where I was going to roll in on something steep and need a little bit more tire. I also have tire inserts in this wheel set, as opposed to the stock wheel set that I ride on this bike. They don't. And I'm actually really glad that I did that, because although Sedona is a pretty cross-country-esque place to ride, there are some gnarly bits that you can really get into, and I think the wheel set really saved me on a lot of the trails I rode, because they did get a little bit rough around the edges there sometimes. Now, with all that said, I didn't really adjust the suspension at all. I ran the normal air pressure that I usually would for my weight. I probably could have bumped it up a little bit more on the aggressive side. It's really hard to see, but I've got the ring. This is from the last ride we did, and the ring is literally super, super close to the end. And same with the fork. The ring is right about there, as you can see. So I was riding it, the suspension, basically almost all the way through on every ride that I went on. So going back to the type of terrain that Sedona has, it is very cross-country based, and there are a lot of super technical climbs. I ran my clipless pedals this trip because you're just really doing a lot of jumping around on the bike when you're climbing. You know, so if I could give any advice to people that have never been to Sedona before, it is you're completely able to ride like a 130 mil travel bike there. It worked really well. I actually really enjoyed it. Some of the other things to think about is they have a jump park there as well. And my Izzo handled it well, but I would have liked to have maybe a bike with a little more travel, just to be a little bit more playful on. I did have my YT decoy with me there, and that was actually pretty fun to ride at the jump park. More so because I could cut so many laps around there and I wasn't getting tired as quick. But other than that, if you have a 130 travel bike and you're going to Sedona, don't be fearful. It's definitely the bike that you're going to want, especially some of the rides end on pretty far away from where you start. So it was really nice for me to lock out my rear suspension and be able to pedal on a road for another 4 miles or something like that. Other than that, yeah, this is the bike that I rode. I filmed 2 episodes for you guys. I'm going to drop the first episode next Tuesday, and then the Tuesday after that you'll have episode 2. So I hope that this little tour of my bike was helpful. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys enjoy the next 2 episodes.